Welcome to another episode of Show and Tell, this series where I show you some of the items in my collection. Today we're going to have a look at books and manuals. First up we'll look at the general books because there's fewer of them, and then get onto the manuals themselves. First up is the oldest book that I've got, Introduction to Programming using the P2P8. So I was interested in this stuff when I was at uni and wrote a simulator and things like that, so it was good to have a programming book. Next one is writing real programs in DCL. DCL is a great language for writing scripts. You can do just about anything, and a lot of procedures under VMS are actually DCL scripts. So this book is good for teaching you how to do that. A couple of books from the early days of PC networking with the PCSA software. About 1989, I used these a fair bit when I first started playing with PCSA. So yep, they were quite good on showing you how to install applications and how PCSA works in general. This is a more recent book with lots of images from digital in the early days. It's pretty much all photos, this book, but yeah, very interesting. Just seeing the pictures of old places where the factories were, and early machines, staff photos. Yep, recommended. Some early quick reference guides, probably from the version 4 days, given that they're in version 4 Orange. Got one here, System Services Runtime Library Routines. It's just a quick reference that you can find all the functions. Pascal summaries, DCL commands and lexical functions, and a reference guide for EDT, which is one of the main editors that's used under VMS. Another one for the programmers. This one is the VAX11 or macro instruction guide. So just a quick reference of all the instructions for programming in machine language. On to some of the hardware manuals now. Here's some manuals for the terminal series. 220 manuals, programmers, owner's manual and installation guide for the 220 and the 220Z, which is the Australian variant, and the programmer's guide for the VT240, which was a graphics terminal. And there is a lot in this manual. Everything you want to know about programming the graphics on VT240 terminals. This is the hardware manual for the Microvax 2. And got them in a case, and there's information on the various types of Microvax 2s. There's one for the BA12, I'm not sure, but the information on the different types of cabinets. So it's always very handy to have when you're working on one of these machines. Next is the VAXstation 2000 manual in the version 4 Orange. These ring band manuals are great because you can update them when updates come out. But yeah, fairly comprehensive information on all about the 2000 and accessories and stuff like that. So quite thick networking guides, hardware installation, a lot of information in there. Big manual for the DEC Server 200. Management guide and command reference. So, and a mini reference, so just doing quick lookups of commands. Now the manual for the VacStation 31 Model 76, which is quite good because that's the one I'm less familiar with, so that's probably the one I need to read. The memory is quite different in the 76, as you can see. The Open VMS doc set is the ultimate documentation resource for VMS itself. It's come in several varieties. The most of the older ones, like the version 4 stuff, was in the orange folders. The version 5 was in the grey folders, and this is a version 6.1 version where they went to books instead of the ring folders. So I've got an almost complete set of these, but not quite. These are just a few of the ones I have here at the moment. For version 5 of PathWorks there was a manual set as well, and they all had these logo on the front, and there was, I can't remember how many it was, there was a whole series of books for PathWorks. This is just one of the ones I kept. Some more hardware manuals, this time for the digital server series of machines that I did a video on a few months ago. I don't have much Alpha documentation, but this is for an Alpha Server 400 that I do have one of, which will probably appear in a future video. This is the whole series of manuals that I have for the PC network cards. The original Depka, which is a great full-length card, that was the first one that was used. It had a mouse port and everything. Then it goes on to the 201, which was the twisted pair variety, the 202, which had a BNC on it, the EtherWorks 3, which had twisted pair BNC and AUI. It's the manual for an ESA board, and the Turbo PCI 10, which is the PCI NIC. And another manual for the TK70 tape drive installation, showing in a 3400, which is the machine that I have, so very relevant for what I'm doing. And last but not least, the book that a lot of people refer to as the Bible. This is the Internals and Data Structures book. If you want to know how VMS works internally, this is the book to tell you. The book always was many versions behind the current releases of VMS. This is a 4.4 one, which we were still using well into the 5 and 6 days. I think the latest one I've seen is a 5.2, but that came out a long time after this one, of course. But yep, a lot of information on how everything works inside VMS. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting, and we shall catch up with you next time.